Hi, my name is Lorenzo Hogans II, paramedic and Christian author, and today's video newsletter topic is going to be the borrower is slave to the lender. We're going to have a little discussion on debt and what the Bible has to say about debt. Because the Bible nor I want to see you in piles and piles of debt that you have to dig yourself out of. It's not a good way to live. So let's take a look at a couple of Bible verses, and you'll have to excuse me this morning because last night on duty has got me left a little jaded, if you will. I was kind of caressed, I'll say, by a fellow patient who had, I'll say, copious amounts of sugar in his tank. A grown man, same age as me, a lot taller than me. I can't really say a lot bigger than me. He wasn't a very thick guy or muscular guy, but he was mulatto, like myself, black and white. And he resembled Blake Griffin, if you're familiar with Blake Griffin from the LA Clippers, basketball player. This guy's 6'7". I'm going to start the IV, and he goes to rub my hand and tell me just how strong and sexy I am. And I'm tensing up like, okay, wait, this is unexpected. What's going on here? But at the same time, I can't really do anything. I've got this sharp needle in my hand, and I'm like, oh, by the way, to make matters even more interesting, he goes by the name of Princess. That is not his real name, but he said, people around here call me Princess. And I said, well, that's very nice of you, Princess. Can you please remove your hand from my forearm? Thank you. Thank you very much. So anyways, I'm a little jaded by that. You come into those situations being out here as a public servant, but we're going to keep on moving. We're going to keep on serving the good people of the world. So back to our topic. The borrower is slave to the lender. I want to read a couple of Bible verses for you so you can kind of get a handle on God's idea for your life financially. I know there's a lot of hearsay when it comes to money and a lot of false quotes of the Bible, particularly that one verse that people like to misquote. Money is the root of all evil, and that's just not the case. Money is not the root of all evil. The Bible says it is the love of money that is the root of all evil, and that's because when you love something, you know, there's actually been studies where they take pictures of the brainwave activity of somebody who is in love and a psychopath, and those brainwaves just aren't all that different because you're not thinking completely straight. It's a very powerful emotion, if you will. And so God says, don't be in love with money because, you know, you may do some crazy things that you regret and that the Lord is gonna frown upon. And actually, one more little short paramedic story, just to let you know how crazy people can act over money. I mean, I've seen it ruin relationships. I've seen it ruin people's lives in general, because you wouldn't believe it. You wouldn't believe it unless I told you, but I've seen actually a 70-year-old female stripped down into her undergarments, her bra and her underwear, and she jumped off the balcony of her house. It comes, the result of that, when I asked her while she was laying in her front yard at midnight on her back why she did this, is she says, my life is ruined. I can't pay the bills anymore. I can't keep up with my mortgage anymore. I said, so that equates to you jumping off of the balcony of your house, possibly killing yourself, because this is the second story of her house. Good 12 to 13 foot drop and it was a mess. It was a complete mess, and so I want you to know that I've seen the effects money can have on people, and money is absolutely a real thing to be concerned about. Absolutely, but not to the point of injuring yourself. That's for sure. So in Romans 13:8 it says, "Owe nothing to anyone except to love one another, for he who loves his neighbor has fulfilled the law." Proverbs 22:7 says, "The rich rules over the poor, and the borrower becomes the lender's slave." For you younger folks out there, a big thing is going to be getting yourself right for college. And a lot of times that equates to taking out large sums of money. Quick joke though, actually not a joke, a true situation. A guy was talking about how he went to college to study math, and ever since he's graduated, he's been unable to find a job related to the specific course of study he was doing, and use all of the, calculations that he was learning. And he said, the only thing I've really been trained to calculate so far in my eyes is how much debt that I've been in, and how many more payments that I have to give. So as far as the younger crowd goes, do your due diligence in your studying for what you're going to go to school for. It doesn't make sense to take out a buttload of debt for something that's not going to pay you well, or at minimum going to take forever to pay back. Be smart about that and do your due diligence. Ecclesiastes 5:5 says, "It is better that you should not vow than that you should vow and not pay." Proverbs 21:5 says, "The plans of the diligent lead surely to advantage." Aha, I think we all like advantages. Proverbs 21:5, "The plans of the diligent lead surely to advantage, but everyone who is hasty comes surely to poverty." I want to have a quick little discussion on hard work and working diligently, and extend to you the idea of planting seeds. Now, what do we know that seeds do? They grow, right? They grow into trees which blossom and provide fruit. And so here we're discussing the topic of, or the idea of, multiplying one's efforts. Okay? You can always trade time for money. You can always trade hours for dollars, but not everyone trades ideas for dollars. Ideas, good ones, are worth more. Let me give you an example. A filmmaker makes a movie, and that stemmed from a great idea. Now he packages that up, markets it, and sells it to the masses. Now, all of a sudden, that movie is going to live well beyond that producer's life, well beyond that filmmaker's life, or any of the actors for that matter. But it can still collect royalties far and beyond that particular person's life, and it can actually continue to pay that person's family the royalties as well, even after their death. So there's one example. There's many areas of life that you can invest in. Primarily, I think one of the big ones is investing in yourself. Investing in yourself through education, but the smart way, of course. Investing in yourself through a business, investing in yourself through a product, investing in other businesses, investing in mutual funds, stocks. All of these are planting of seeds If you invest in a product, maybe you've got some t-shirts, maybe you want to write a book, those things can pay you royalties over time. You don't have to keep punching in the clock to receive payment. So it's a beautiful thing, and so I wanted to discuss that with you because I think it's very important to be smart with your money. So I was curious to see how much the average American has in debt. So it says, here's how much the average U.S. family has in credit card debt. Americans owe a lot in credit card debt, more than $1 trillion. That's greater than the GDP of all but 15 countries. When it comes to individual households, the average American family owes $8,377. Now that's credit card debt, okay? Now, that's kind of a broad term because we can use our credit cards for a lot of different things. But I want to get on you, the viewer, if you are spending money, unnecessary money, money that you don't have, on material possessions. It doesn't make sense. It's just material. Now, if we can turn down the temperature on, if you will, on the desire for unnecessary things, then we can better get a handle on our money. You know, materials are good, they are nice, but they are not assets. They are more so liabilities. Just like a car. A car depreciates the second you drive it off the lot. It's actually pretty pathetic, but we need cars, that's understandable, and that's why it's not looked at the same time as an investment. A true investment will yield return for you. That's what we call an asset. And that's what I was trying to tell you about when I say planting seeds to grow big, great big trees for you, potentially, that have more fruit on them. They sprout more fruit, and then hence sprout more seeds for you to replant. And it's basically a rinse and repeat process. Investing. Invest in something that works, rinse and repeat. Get your money back, and then use the profits that you earn to go back into whatever it is that you're investing. After all, it's making you money, right? That car, that new car that you just bought, that's not making you any money. Now, it is acting as a, it is serving a purpose. You need transportation, hands down. So it is an investment in that sense, because you do need to be able to get around. But you see where I'm going as far as return. So here's how much money Americans have in their saving accounts, the average. It says if your savings account balance is hovering at or below $1,000, you're not alone. According to a 2017 Geo Banking Rates survey, more than half of Americans, 57%, have less than $1,000 in their savings accounts. So what about the rainy day? What happens if you lose your job? What happens if you incur a financial crisis? What happens if you incur some serious medical bills? I'll tell you right now, the ambulance, an ambulance ride is around $600 to $700 on average, just for us to give you a ride to the hospital. Okay, and it gets more and more serious if you're having surgery, if you're being admitted in the hospital, okay? This stuff costs money, and this stuff is unexpected. We're talking freak accidents. So, just kind of wanted to talk about debt, what God thinks about it. He doesn't like it at all. He doesn't want that for His people. And there's no one to blame for debt. Now, if your back is against the wall, my advice to you, if you need to incur some debt, is to be very, very meticulous with it. Think it out, don't be brainless, and ask God to show you the right way to handle this debt and the way that you can correctly manage this debt. Because sometimes it's unavoidable. I think that there are true situations where it's unavoidable, but when you can, And it's an emotion-based decision of you just kind of putting your material desires to the side. See that? You see that motion? Put those material desires to the side, okay, before you can actually afford it. None of this keeping up with the Joneses, okay? That's not cool. Keeping up with the Joneses is not cool. Keeping up with the Kardashians is probably the latest, most accurate term of that. So, because you soon find out that the way that you worry about yourself isn't necessarily the way other people worry about you. Trust me, as far as how you look, people are worried about their own lives. They don't care. You know, they'll acknowledge a nice pair of rims or a nice bag that you have for you ladies out there, or a nice pair of red bottoms. But at the end of the day, people are self-centered. Let's not forget that. So, do your due diligence. And the last but not least, I do want to quote that verse out of Timothy that people always butcher. It's like, oh my gosh, you're beating a dead horse with this. It's because it's incorrect. 1 Timothy 6:10 says, "For the love of money is a root of all sorts of evil, and some, by longing for it, have wandered away from the faith and pierced themselves with many griefs." Okay? Money is a good thing. It's absolutely a good thing. But when you put it above your faith, when you put it above the well-being of others, when you put it above integrity, it is destructive. Okay? So keep that in mind. Try your best to stay out of debt. I don't want that for you. Neither does God. And I want you to value your dollar. Okay? From now on, do yourself a favor, because it takes sweat, sometimes blood and tears to earn a dollar. So treat it that way. Save your money, save for the rainy day, and don't go blowing your check every time you get one. Okay? When I go to buy a product, I look at it and I look at value. I look at what kind of return, what kind of utility am I going to get out of this? Okay, after all, you're asking someone to give their life, some of their life force to you. Money is a life force, okay? That's why people strive so much for financial independence, because financial freedom gives you all kinds of autonomy. If you're too busy, you know, robbing Peter to pay Paul, you know, in other words, in debt, what kind of freedom is that? You end up being a debt slave, and that's not what God wants for you. So, and that's why I try to put, you know, meticulous and, you know, a standard of value in the products that I have. You know, when I sit down and write a book, I try to make sure that it exceeds the value that I'm asking for. I think my books are going for $5.99, the Kindle download, on Amazon.com. You know, my paramedic book, it's got 100 true tales. These are life-saving, life-changing, life-altering, for the better, most of the time anyway, tales. I've included 100 Bible promises, straight from God, straight out of the Word, straight out of the Bible, and also 100 paramedic pointers. That is my idea of taking my life and giving you value there. So, anyways, if you enjoyed the content today, first, stay out of debt. Then second, like the video, share it if you can, and if you've got any good discussion, comments, go ahead and comment below. Don't forget to check out my books on Amazon.com. The first one is The Corridor That Lies Between Greatness and Insanity. It'll teach you how to deal with struggle God's way in a biblical fashion. And my second book is Paramedic, 100 True Tales of a Public Servant. You can find both of those on Amazon.com by typing in my name or the title. So I will see you on the next one. Stay debt-free, folks.